Hello! Welcome to Darkest Hour Leveling Tips. My name is Seal, and here is tip number 2. Ever wonder what events and tags are or what they mean? Events are sort of like a trigger system for one actor to let all the other actors know that something has happened. However, it will only let only actors that have the tag equaling the event will care about it. And every actor treats the event call differently. And so this starts to get into coding a little bit. But how it works basically is, let's say we have an objective, right? And that objective, you want it to do something like, say, disable a minefield or, blow something up or whatever. You have an option to put an event tag, and so let's just say disable mine volume 3 or 2 or whatever, and that would be tagged somewhere to handle the mine volume. And the tag and the event under the events section of the actor properties. The tag is, self-explanatory. It's just a name you just write in. The event under this category is usually not used. Each handles basically differently. For example, if an objective is captured, it will trigger this event, but a lot of other actors never trigger like that or use any type of event like that. Alright, and you can also use tags to relate actors together, not necessarily through an event. And for instance, this on Bridgehead, this spawn for the Axis has well, first of all, let's look at the spawn. It's quite simple. You have the spawn point, and then you have these little nodes, and these little nodes are just indicators of where to spawn vehicles and stuff like that. And V is for vehicle, I is for infantry, and that is set up under here where it says infantry location hint tag. And that's just so not everybody spawns in the exact same spot, and tanks and vehicles aren't spawning in the exact same spot and having weird physics happen. So that's why we break it down. And but then there's another type here, mine volume protection tag. It's called X5 prot, and so that is the actual protection volume, that the minefield volume. And you're like, well, where is that at? How do I find that? And there's an actor search thing, search for actors. This button here, the little binoculars, and you can type in a name, which I'll go over in a minute. The event, which will find things that have stuff typed in here. And tag, which will find stuff typed in here. So what we want to find is X5 prot, and so you would just type in X5 prot, and there it is, DH mine volume, and you double click that and it selects it, and it takes you to the origin of that volume or actor. And in this case, now we can look at the properties of it. And yes, it's initially active, so that means it's always active from the very start of the game. And then, because it is controlled by the spawn point, it only deactivates when the spawn point deactivates. It's kind of nice because it's active from the start, and then so you don't have to activate it at any point. And then so. The name. What is the name? Because it sounds like the tag is the object's name, and that's not true. The object name is under here, object, and it says name. And though it is possible to edit this. I recommend not to be doing anything like that unless you know what you're doing. To edit it, let's go into here. To edit it, you can copy, hold Control and hit C, and then bring up Notepad or your text editor of any sort, and you can see the properties here of that actor, and you can see the name right here, DH spawn point axis 6. So we could rename this, call it my new spawn point 1. And the reason why I don't recommend to do this is because this is how I often find actors of a given class type. Let me go ahead and paste this back into the editor. I'll create a new one, and you can see my new spawn point 1. And so let's say I want to find all the spawn points, or sorry, all the DH spawn point axis, or just DH spawn points. I would do DH spawn point, and it finds them all. Let's do axis, and you will not be able to find this new one through this name, and that's because its object's name has changed. So I don't recommend doing that because it can be a nightmare to find. So the only way to find all the axis spawn points is to right click on one of them that you find and go to select all DH spawn point axis, and it will select it then, but then you'll have to go through 11 different actors to find the one that isn't named correctly. And let's see here. I think that's about it. A little bit more about the event. So again, events are sort of dangerous, and they are also not the quickest thing out there, because every time an event is called, the game code will cycle through every single object in the level saying, hey, this event has been called. So lots of events equal bad. However, just a few every once in a while, or even a few chained events are not a terrible thing. However, chained events where, say, one actor calls an event that triggers another actor, which triggers another event, can potentially loop, and if you ever get a loop, you will crash the game straight up. So you have to be very careful and try not to use too many events. And that was partly a mistake with the too many actors with the DH level actors. We still use DH level actors. They're not terrible, but they can be overused or abused. So you got to be careful. And that's it. That's tip number 2. I hope that helps you understand tags, object names, and events.